Okay, welcome back. Today we've got surface area again. This time it's going to be pyramids and cones. So these are a little bit harder for a lot of people, but same basic idea here. Before we get started, these are some examples of kind of what pyramids or cones look like. Just like with the
Lunch students are now dismissed for lunch.
just like with the prisms, pyramids have a base, which could be any shape. This common one here is a square pyramid. We could have triangular pyramids. We have pentagon or hexagon or octagon pyramids, whatever we got. And then the lateral faces are made up of triangles that kind of go up and meet at what we call the apex, or sometimes we call it the vertex, if we want to use that word. Apex is a nice word because we use vertex for a lot of things. Now on this, I really want to make sure we kind of see here, there's two different ways to measure the height of the pyramid. We've got the height right down the middle. That's useful for finding the volume of a pyramid. But when we're finding the surface area, we actually want this slant height, because the slant height is the height that is on the faces, which we're actually finding the area of the faces. So we don't want the height, the true height down the middle. We also don't want the edge usually, unless for some reason one of your faces is a right triangle, which would be pretty rare. In a cone, we have the same thing. We have a base, which happens to be a circle. And then just like with that one, with the pyramids, we don't want the height down the middle. We want the slant height, which is either going to be called S or L, depending on who you talk to. S for slant height, L for lateral height. Just like these are lateral faces, we would call this cone part the lateral area. We'll come back to that one in a little bit, though. So, just like before, when you're finding surface area, especially of these pyramids, I want you to draw out the different faces, including its measurements. Find the area of each, add up the totals. Right? Not hard problems, but really easy to make mistakes on. So stay organized, and you're going to be okay. So here we go. Find the surface area of a square pyramid. It is important that we know this is square so that all the sides are 7 and all the triangles are the same. And if I think about what shapes make this up, I've got 4 triangles and 1 square. Well, I know how to find the area of a triangle, and I know how to find the area of a square, so we can do this. The area formula for a triangle is 1/2 times base times height, and I know my base is 7, and my height, which is in this case called the slant height, is 12. And so I'll plug in those numbers. You can use a calculator if I need to, but I got 42. Then I can go to my square, and since I know this is a rectangle, a square exactly, base times height, 7 times 7, we get 49 for that one. Then I'm just going to go ahead and combine things together. So I've got 4 of these triangles plus 1 of these rectangles, and I'll go over to Desmos and see what that is. So we'll go ahead and type that into Desmos here. We have 4 of our 42s plus our base, our square base is 49. So we have 217 total. And this one did not include units. So I'm just going to put square units on that. Now, when we're going to talk about cones, we pretty much need a formula for this one. I want you to kind of think about what's going on here. We got this cone. For sure, we have our base, which is a circle. So there's going to be a pi r squared in the base. Our lateral area, if we unrolled this, actually turns out to be a sector. And if you figure out the area of that sector, we get that it is pi times the radius of the base times the slant height. So this right here is your overall surface area formula for a cone. And one thing I do want to mention is that this S will very often be written as an L, a lowercase l, usually something like that instead of S. So S for slant height, L for lateral area. But that is kind of up to who's doing it. So go ahead and take a second, put that formula in your notes, and then we'll do an example. Okay, so let's take a look at this. In this case, we have everything we need. We have our radius of 5. We have our slant height of 10. The height up the middle we don't have because we don't even need it. All we're going to have to do is just go ahead and plug in our things to our formula. So we've got pi times my radius squared plus pi times my radius plus the lateral height, either L or S, it doesn't matter. And then we're going to plug that right into our calculator. So we've got pi times 5 squared plus pi times 5 times 10. And if we put that all together, 235.6. And this one does have a unit, so centimeters squared. Just like with the cylinder we did a couple of days ago, or last time, we can also put this in without the pi's in there, since both terms have a pi. I can do 5 squared plus 5 times 10, and I get 75. Because I didn't type the pi in either form, this is 25 pi plus 50 pi, and we get 75 pi. So either way, I am fine with whether we find it in terms of pi or as a decimal with our calculator. And you can use your calculator either way. So that's how to find the surface area of pyramids and cones. The pyramid, the base might be different, but it'll either be a square or a regular shape of some sort, like a regular octagon, regular hexagon, something like that.